I think it would look like God's will being done on earth as it is in heaven. And so people using their resources and their time, not out of obligation, but because we understand and we know that love calls us into mutual care for one another.
Hello, my name is Heather Clemens. I am the marketing consultant for the United Way of the Mark Twain area. The United Way Evening of Philanthropy is May 9th. It began in 2019 with a goal to honor community members who invest their time and talents in making our community better. The Evening of Philanthropy shares the stories of generous people who we hope inspire others. This podcast will feature interviews with the honorees who will be highlighted at this year's event. And our philanthropic group is the First Christian Church of Hannibal. So our guests for this podcast are Doug Job, interim pastor, and Stephanie Himmel, associate pastor of First Christian Church of Hannibal. In January of 2024, Jacob Nocky, Hannibal's police chief and emergency management director, had put out a plea for a church or an organization to open as an emergency overnight warming center to keep unhoused community members and those living in homes without utilities a place to be out from the cold. So First Christian Church answered the call and opened. You were open for 9 nights in January 2024. And then this past winter, the church created a more formal overnight warming center with 60 volunteers to coordinate overnight staffing, provide breakfast and snacks, and to offer triage, case management. The effort was not without its challenges, which we are going to discuss. The warming center was open for nearly 20 nights. So with all that said, let's get to that first question. Can you tell me about the overnight warming center? How did it begin?
Okay, so Jacob Nocky put out the call, and Stephanie and I checked in with one another, and we checked in with our church leadership, and everybody wanted to know more. Mm-hmm. So we sat in my office, and we called Jacob and said, "Oh, well, we'd like to help. Who else has said they're going to do it?" And Jacob said, "Well, right now you are the only people who've called me." Now, later others did, but right then we took a big gulp and checked in with our values and said, "Oh, we've got to do this." And it was easier than we thought it would be, Definitely. I think, in those first moments, because so many people jumped in to say, "I've got this, and I can help with that. We're going to need that, and I can help with that." So it came together pretty quickly.
Good. So what led your congregation and other community members to support this effort, and then how many people were involved overall?
So our mission statement at First Christian Church is we are called to be the face of Jesus in Hannibal, sharing God's forgiveness, acceptance, compassion, and encouragement with our neighbors. And so in light of that mission statement that we say together every week, this fell in line with that. And so, as Doug mentioned, there were the logistical questions, and we have people for that very reason, so that we make sure we're looking at the whole picture. But once presented with facts and a plan to go forward, our people were on board. This year, we had volunteers from all over, different congregations, community organizations, individuals in the community that just saw the opportunity and said, "Hey, I may not be able to do X, Y, or Z, but here's how I can serve, and I'm going to show up and serve in that capacity." So we had over 50 volunteers from all pockets of the community.
That's awesome.
That rotated through shifts, cooked meals, donated items. Our first year, we had a woman who just went around town driving in her car and looking for people out in the elements to tell them, "Hey, if you want it, there's this opportunity where you can get warm." And so
Wow.
it was really beautiful to see everyone come together to work on this.
Yeah, that's awesome. What challenges did you find, and how were they overcome in making the overnight warming center available?
The greatest was when our insurance company told us that, in their opinion, we had materially changed our operations and that they would not underwrite the additional risk, and that they would immediately cancel all of our coverage if we didn't stop doing the warming center.
Wow.
And our ministry with the biggest footprint is our We Care preschool daycare. So we simply cannot be without insurance.
Right.
We just can't.
Right.
So with great reluctance, we closed the warming center. We shared that news on a Saturday morning. The good folk at Trinity Episcopal Church heard that and invited me to come speak with them on Sunday morning. I did. Immediately after their worship service, they met and decided that they could open their doors. So that afternoon, we moved everything to Trinity's Guild Hall, and we reopened that night. And we're open the rest of the cold season at Trinity. We have become very integrated now with Harvest Outreach Loaves and Fishes, which has been opening in the morning to serve a hot breakfast to our guests, and then providing a little bit of a bridge in those early morning hours until other things start opening up. For instance, our guests can go to the library or the armory and stay warm.
So what success was found by making the warming center available?
I think the biggest success that we found is that lives were protected. People stayed warm and safe on nights that could have been fatal. And we don't say that to be dramatic, but the reality of the situation is exactly that. For instance, we had a guest who came to us one evening. His breathing was labored. He ended up going to the emergency room and had a pretty severe case of influenza, was moved into the ICU. And so we look at that situation and say, okay, had we not been there, this individual who is older in age would have been in brutally cold temperatures fighting influenza, pneumonia in a tent in the elements. And so that's the first need. But we also got to see wonderful life moments. So we had a guest that we were able to drive to his first day of work. We had other guests that, because of the work of the United Way and other people who came and positioned themselves at breakfast, were able to connect guests to mental health services, to substance abuse services. And so being able to be a bridge to the other good work that's already going on in Hannibal, I think, is quite the success.
Yeah, it's great when you can link someone to those resources, for sure.
Because we can't do it all. No one single service agency can do it all. But when we can grow that web of connections and make it easier for individuals to access, that's good work.
Right.
Stephanie, I think you can say something.
The warming center became a bridge for deeper and more connected care, which is the goal for these neighbors within our community, right? Removing obstacles and leveling the playing field.
Yeah. So what are the future plans?
We hope to build on this organic momentum that we have found ourselves in the middle of. Our hope is to continue to expand partnerships, to be able to bring more people into the operation, into the project, I think we're calling it now. It went from an emergency response to now being a project with a lot of participants. And so being able to say, okay, from the first year to the second year, we doubled the number of nights that we were open. We were able to make connections to where our guests felt safe coming into a church offering this type of service. And that can't be forced. And so we hope to build upon what we've done as it continues to grow, because the need is there.
And again, back to numbers. Our criteria for opening actually feel a bit tragic, but our criteria for opening have been, we're looking at single-digit temperatures over more than one night.
Okay.
We want to be able to expand that so that we're looking at being opening if the temperatures are predicted to be in the teens. And once we can hit that target, we want to work up toward even less cold nights.
Right. So, in moving forward, how can members of the community become involved?
At present, because of the community's generosity, we materially have everything we need. We have enough blankets, we have enough bedding, we have stores of winter clothes that we can share with guests if they need it. So we're grateful for all of that, but we're okay with that. Donations of money are helpful. They increase our flexibility. We can run to Walmart and buy another air mattress if one develops a leak, which has happened. But we don't need a lot of money at present. And when we're operating, we do need snacks and hot meals. So next winter, those are going to be needed and will be gratefully received. But that's been pretty easy to organize. What we need most of all are volunteers.
Yeah.
We need volunteers to take shifts as hosts. Now, we provide training. We think we have it pretty well organized at this point. But we schedule 4 shifts for every night that we're open, and we need 3 or 4 volunteers per shift. So that's 12 to 16 people that we need each night.
Well, thank you both for your time today, and it's been a pleasure talking to both of you.
Thank you.